Hi, Mr. Rat here, and welcome to this walkthrough of IGCSE questions on graphical inequalities. Do download the questions if you'd like to by hitting the link in the description, and then you can do the questions ahead of me, or you can watch the film whilst you do the questions, and we can work alongside each other. If you find the film useful, please do hit like and give me some positive feedback. Please ask any questions in the comments, and of course, I'll respond. And if you are finding this sort of content useful, then hit subscribe. Right, let's get on with the maths. Question 1. Write down the three inequalities that define the shaded region. Well, the first thing I need to do is to work out what the equations of the lines are that surround that region. One of the lines is this green one. Let's have a look at that line. So that is the line which crosses the x-axis at -2, so that's line x equals -2. Another of the lines is this blue line here. Now that's the line that goes through 0, 0, 2, 2, 4, 4. That's the line y equals x. And the third of the lines is this red line here. Let's have a look at that line. I'm wondering if I can use y equals mx plus c to sort out what this line is. I can see that the y-intercept is 1, so it's going to be y equals something x plus 1. Now what about the gradient of the line? Well, what happens when I go 1 along? Let me see, I'm going to start from here, zoom in a bit. If I go 1 along, then I don't go 1 up, look, I go a half up. So that line has a gradient of a half. So the equation of the line is y equals a half x plus 1. Right, now I've defined my three lines. I just need to choose the correct sides of those lines. Now looking at the green line, I want everything to the right of that. So I want everything where x is greater than or equal to -2. It's all or equal than 2 in this case because all the lines are solid. Let's look at the blue line. I need everything above that. So that's going to be everything where y is greater than or equal to x. And let's look at the red line. I need everything below the red line. So that's going to be y is less than or equal to a half x plus 1. And that is question 1 sorted. Okay, let's look at question 2. Write down the three inequalities that define the shaded region. Well, again, let's work out what each of these lines are. Let's start with this horizontal green line here. Again, by the way, all my lines are solid, so all my inequalities will be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. In this case, I have got the line which crosses the y-axis at 3, so it's the line y equals 3. And all of my points are above that, aren't they? So I'm going to have y is greater than or equal to 3. Right, let's have a look now at this blue line here. Right, it is this line. Okay, let's write down the equation of that line. Let's use y equals mx plus c. Now I can see that the line crosses the y-axis at 3, so it's going to be y equals something x plus 3. Now what's the gradient of that line? Let's start from here. And let's go 1 along. If I go 1 along, it takes me to here. How far up do I need to go? 1, 2, 3. So that line has a gradient of 3. So the equation of the line is y equals 3x plus 3. And shaded is the area beneath that line. So it's going to be y is less than or equal to 3x plus 3. One more line remaining. This red line. Here we go. Right. Now, can we write down the equation of that line? Well, crosses the y-axis as 0, so it's going to be y equals something x plus 0. Y equals what x plus 0? Let's find the gradient. So I'm going to start from here and go 1 along. And I see this line then goes 2 down. So the gradient's -2. So it's simply y equals -2x. And so the inequality that I need is beneath that line is shaded, so y equals less than or equal to -2x. And there are my three inequalities, and that's question 2 finished. Question 3. Write down the three inequalities that define the shaded region. Let's start with this blue line here. That is the line that crosses the y-axis at 4, so it's the line y equals 4. And I'm interested in the points beneath that line, so the inequality is y is less than or equal to 4. Right, let's have a look at this line next. Right, this red line. Now I can see that it crosses the y-axis at 4, so it's going to be y equals something x. Sorry, it crosses the y-axis at 1, so it's going to be y equals something x plus 1. Now, what x plus 1? Well, I better explore the gradient of this line. Now, often I like to go one along and see what happens. Now, I could read that off, and it looks to me as if it's 0.6 up. But let's do it another way, just so we can appreciate another way of working out the gradient. Let's take 2 points which we can easily find here. I'm going to take those 2 points. I'm going to look at the gradient here. So I'm going to look at, that's the run, and that's the rise, isn't it? So gradient is rise over run, of course. Now the rise is 4, and the run is 6. So the gradient of my line there is 4 over 6. So the equation is y equals 4 over 6x plus 1, which we could write as y equals 2/3 of x plus 1, of course. And in this case, we're looking for above that line. So my inequality is going to be y is greater than or equal to 2/3 of x plus 1. Okay, right. Now let's look at this green line. Tell you what, I'm just going to rub out these reds just to get them out of the way. Let's look at this green line here now. Right, I need to write down the equation of that line. Well, I can see that it cuts the y-axis at 2. So it's going to be y equals something x plus 2. I just need to work out the gradient. Now, let's start from here, this point here. If I go 1 along, I go 2 down. So its gradient is simply going to be minus 2. Y equals minus 2x plus 2. And I'm interested in shading above my line. So the region is going to be y is greater than or equal to minus 2x plus 2. And there is question 3 complete. Question 4. On the grid, shade the region that satisfies all of these inequalities. Well, the first inequality is x is less than 3. Now, please note that that's less than. It's not less than or equal to 3. So I'm going to draw the line x equals 3, but I'm going to draw it in a dashed line. So x equals 3. Let's have a look. So the line x equals 3 crosses the x-axis at 3. So this is the line x equals 3. Okay, now of course I need to draw that as a dashed line, easy for you with your pencil and ruler. I'm going to rub out little bits of it. There you are, there's my dashed line. Okay, and I need to shade the area which is less than that. Okay, so in a moment I'll be shading to the left. Right, I also need to be looking at this y is greater than minus 2. Just a minute, before I do that, I'm just going to put a little arrow there just to remind me that I'm going to the left of that one. Right, y is greater than minus 2. So again, this can be a dashed line, and the line y equals minus 2 is this line, which crosses the y-axis at minus 2. And I need a dashed line, so I'll take out a few of those. Okay, and I need y is greater than that, so I'm going to be shading above that line. Right, lastly, y is less than or equal to 2x minus 1, so I'm going to draw the line y equals 2x minus 1. Okay, well that crosses the y-axis at minus 1. It has a gradient of 2. So if I go along 1, I go up 2. Go along 1, go up 2. Go along 1, go up 2. So my line is going to look like this. Right. Now, again, easier for you with a pencil and ruler, but I've got to draw my line all the way up. Try again. So I have to extend this line. There we go. Now, in this case, it's y is less than or equal to, so I'm going to leave the line solid, but I would want to be shading below that line, so I want to be shading that side, won't I? So, which area am I going to shade which satisfies all those inequalities? It is this region here, and it asks me to label the region R. There we are. R. And that is question 4 complete. Question 5. Okay. On the grid, shade the region that satisfies all these inequalities. Now, the first thing I notice is that none of them are less than or greater than and equal to. So they're all going to require a dotted line. Right, let's do this one first. X plus y equals 4 is the line I've got to draw. So that's going to go through 0, 4 and 4, 0. So this is the line which I'm after. Okay, and I obviously need to make that a dotted or dashed line. And I need to shade the area where the sum of x plus y is less than 4, so I'm going to shade that side of that line. Right, here I'm going to need to draw the line y equals 2x plus 1. So that has a y-intercept of 1 and a gradient of 2. So it's going to be this line here. So I'm going to draw that one in blue. There we go. Now you should draw your line right through the diagram like that. And really, we should label each of these lines, shouldn't we? So that's y equals 2x plus 1 there. Now what am I doing? I'm shading to the above that line, aren't I? Because y is greater than or equal to that. Meanwhile, I haven't labelled this line. X plus y equals 4. Right, lastly, I need to draw this line, the line y equals minus 1. So that's going to be the line which crosses the y-axis at minus 1. So it's going to be this line. That's the line y equals minus 1, of course. It needs to be dotted. So I need to rub out some bits of that line in the same way that this blue line should have been dotted as well. Okay, and now back to my green line. Y is greater than, so I need to shade that side of it. So where am I shading here? I'm shading beneath the red, above the green, and to the left of that one, beneath the red, above the green. So I think I'm shading this region here. Okay, and it asks me to label the region R. There we are, R. Okay, and that is question 5 complete. Question 6. On the grid, shade the region that satisfies all of these inequalities. Now, the first thing I notice is that they're all greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, so it's going to be solid lines all the way. Right, let's have a look. This one here, I need to draw the line y equals x minus 1. Y equals x minus 1. That's going to have a y-intercept of minus 1 and a gradient of 1. Okay, so 1 along, 1 up, 1 along, 1 up, and so on. So let's label a couple of points there. Help me draw my line. Right, it's going to look like this. And it's going to continue down here like that. I should label that y equals x minus 1. Okay. There we go. Now, what am I going to want to shade? I'm going to want to shade above that line because I want the region y is greater than or equal to x minus 1. Right, now the next line I need to draw is this one. X equals 6 minus 2y. That's the line I'm needing to draw. Now I'm going to rearrange that to make it into y equals mx plus c because I find that easier to draw then. So I'm going to add 2y to both sides. 2y plus x equals 6. And I'm going to minus x from both sides. So 2y is minus x plus 6. And now I'll divide both sides by 2. There we are. So now I can easily read off the gradient and the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is +3. So it's going to go through here. And the gradient's -1/2. So if I go along 1, go down 1/2. Along 2, down another 1/2. Okay, so those are some points on my line. I'm going to join those up and extend my line so it goes all the way through the diagram. Now I want to shade where x is less than that, don't I? So let's have a think about which sides I want to shade. I'm going to want low x's. So I'm going to shade to the left of this line because x is -6 here and I want low x's. So I want to go down the x-axis. Okay, next one is this one. I'm going to need to draw x equals -3. Okay, so line x equals -3 crosses the x-axis at -3. Here it is. That's line x equals -3. And I want x is greater than or equal to. So I'm going to want to shade to the right of that. So which region am I going to be wanting to shade? To the right of the red, above the green, and to the left of the blue. That's the region I want to shade. And it asks me to label the region R. So that's exactly what I'll do. And that is question 6 complete. Question 7. The graphs of the straight lines with these equations have been drawn on the grid. Okay, all right. X and y are both integers, fine. Mark with a cross all the points that satisfy all those 3 inequalities. Right, well, first of all, let's sort out which line is which. So this one, y is 2x plus 1, is the line which crosses the y-axis at 1. So that's going to be this line, y equals 2x plus 1. And I want all the points which satisfy the inequalities y is less than 2x plus 1. So I'm going to shade underneath that one. I'm going to shade to that side. I'm not going to shade at all, but all the points which satisfies that inequality are to the right of that line. Right, now that would imply that this here is the line 3y plus 2x equals 12. Now, I want the points where 3x plus 2y is less than 12, so I'm going to go beneath that line. Okay, and I also need to satisfy this inequality here, the inequality y is greater than 1. So I better draw that line. It's the line that crosses the y-axis at 1, of course. And I would like, that's y equals 1, and I need y is greater than 1, so I'm interested in points above that. So I need to mark with a cross all the points that satisfy the inequalities. Now, none of the points are going to be on the lines because each of my inequalities is simply a greater than or less than. There's no or equal to going on here. And I need my points to be above the red, to the right of the green, and to the left of the blue. So I need them to be inside that triangle there. So I'm looking for points I can shade, which are inside the triangle. Sorry, not shade, but mark with a cross. There's one. There's another. Now, do I choose this one? No, because that is on one of the lines. So in fact, there are only 2 points that I should mark with a cross, because there are only 2 points which are in the correct region of that graph. And that is the end of question 7.
Okay, I hope you found that film useful. Well done for making it through to the end. If you've got any questions, please do leave them in the comments, and of course I'll respond. And the only thing that's left for you to do now is to hit like, of course, and give me a bit of positive feedback. See you in the next film.